The worst F1 drivers to win a race since the year 2000. Of course, there are no bad drivers in F1. Even the paid drivers are extremely good at what they're doing. And if a driver manages to win a race in this extremely competitive sport, it makes him an outstanding driver. But considering very good drivers like Hülkenberg haven't even made it on a podium once, and an all-time great like Alonso hasn't won a race in nearly 12 years, here are some of the worst F1 race winners in recent history.
I'm Sergio Perez, and let's go.
Starting off with a few drivers that barely missed out on the list. One could make the argument that the 2024 season makes Perez one of the worst F1 race winners in recent history, as he finished the season in 8th place, while his teammate became world champion with a point deficit between the two of 285 points. Yes, the last season of Perez at Red Bull was extremely flawed by mistakes and early qualifying exits. Nonetheless, Perez was a brilliant driver in his prime. He deserved his promotion into a race-winning car, managed to beat Verstappen on difficult street circuits like Baku multiple times, and had standout performances like his iconic first race win in 220, where an incident on the first lap seen Perez drop to the back of the field and him then coming back through the field in an average car to perform one of the greatest comebacks in F1 history. So it's easy to say that Perez with his 6 deserved race wins definitely doesn't belong in this list. You could also argue that Piastri, only 2 years into his F1 career, got lucky by having a race-winning car that quick. That argument doesn't really stick though, as his 224 race in Baku was a perfect drive and seems like one of many more great drives to come.
Giancarlo Fisichella wins the Australian Grand Prix for Renault.
Giancarlo Fisichella had a lot of outstanding performances and managed to push midfield teams into the top 5 on the regular. Once he actually got a drive at a top team in 2005 with Renault, he struggled though to adapt and was clearly beaten by his teammate Alonso 2 seasons in a row. After finally landing a Ferrari drive in 2009 mid-season after Felipe Massa's horrible incident at the Hungaroring that put him out for the season, Fisichella struggled to adapt once again at the top team and didn't score a point for the rest of the season in a weak Ferrari and retired afterwards. While he's definitely not an all-time great, his 3 race wins and 19 podiums, often in midfield cars, save him from being one of the worst race winners in recent history.
He's going to see the man with the checkered flag, and Jarno Trulli is going to win his first ever Formula 1 Grand Prix.
Jarno Trulli was known for his incredible pace in qualifying and then often lacking the same speed on race day, which created the term Trulli train, where Trulli gets a great result in qualifying and then holds up everyone behind him in the race, especially back then when overtaking was more difficult. Despite never being in the best car, he managed to win the 2004 Monaco Grand Prix, putting in a world-class qualifying lap and then defending the first place until the very end, crossing the line by less than 0.5 seconds ahead of second place Button. A great victory, and despite being a very good driver, he just never seemed to have the edge in the race.
Heikki Kovalainen wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, his first ever Grand Prix victory.
Heikki Kovalainen had a great start to his career, with Renault beating his teammate Fisichella as a rookie. After being promoted into a very quick McLaren next to Lewis Hamilton, he struggled to adapt. Despite getting his first and only race win at the Hungaroring in 2007, the gap between him and teammate Lewis Hamilton was way too big. After leaving McLaren in 2010 for an extremely slow Lotus Cosworth, he never managed a point finish in his career again and retired from F1 in 2013. Despite showing a lot of talent and being unlucky with his final career steps, Heikki never really showed real race-winning material.
Pierre Gasly wins the Italian Grand Prix!
After starting his career at Toro Rosso as a very highly rated talent, he failed to impress after being promoted to Red Bull, as he was far off the pace compared to his teammate Verstappen. After going back to the sister team Toro Rosso, he managed to shine again, getting a first podium at Brazil in the same season and a lucky but well executed race win at Monza in 220. Gasly showed his capability on numerous occasions, getting multiple podium finishes with midfield teams. Nonetheless, he has yet to prove that he can thrive at a top team.
A Grand Prix winner in Formula 1! Ocon wins the Hungarian Grand Prix!
Esteban Ocon is one of the few drivers to come from humble beginnings. Ocon made it to F1 without rich parents. Never really fulfilling the great potential he had, Ocon had a very solid career so far, never really disappointing, but never really exciting over a whole season at the same time. His big day came in Budapest. A big crash in the first corner made the battle for the win a clash between Ocon and Vettel in midfield cars. Ocon did a great job to hold on and win the race. He also secured multiple podiums throughout his career. Still, without the luck being on his side, same as Gasly, you wouldn't really expect Ocon to win another race.
Winner in Formula 1, it's Pastor Maldonado ahead of Fernando Alonso.
Pastor Maldonado, the worst race winner in F1 history, and it's not even close. His race win in 2012 in Spain was a great drive. Against all the odds, he put a Williams on pole and won the race by pure speed. To this day, he is still the last driver to win a race for Williams. As good as that achievement was, that's about all he's ever done. After his race win, he never finished on a podium again. He occasionally showcased some good speed, and he genuinely wasn't a slow driver. He just couldn't stop crashing and retired from F1 only a few years later. Sponsored by the Venezuelan government, it's estimated that over 200 million euros were spent to get and keep him in F1. In 92 races, Maldonado was involved in 52 incidents and retired 32 times. He might literally have the highest crash rate in F1 history. The amount of crazy and unnecessary incidents he was involved in is hard to match. Even Mazepin would struggle to cause more safety cars than him. At one point, Maldonado was banned from ever racing again in Monaco for ignoring yellow flags and injuring a marshal in the process, until a payment from Venezuela settled the problem. In the 2009 GP2 series, he got absolutely destroyed by his then teammate Nico Hülkenberg and just wasn't a big prospect at the time. It's crazy to think that Hülkenberg is still driving in F1 without ever being on a podium, and Maldonado retired 10 years ago and is a F1 race winner. If you take a look at the head-to-head championship results Maldonado has had, they're rather disappointing, and more often than not because of him struggling to actually finish races. The only driver he managed to beat was Senna in 2012. Sounds good, but it's actually the nephew of Ayrton, and you could even argue that Bruno Senna was the more consistent driver over the whole season. Former drivers mentioned on this list were compared to teammates like Verstappen, Hamilton or Alonso, as the best teammates Maldonado faced were Bottas, who beat him as a rookie, Grosjean, who managed double the points over Maldonado in 2014, and Barrichello, who beat him clearly in one of his final years in Formula 1. His win in Spain 2012 was a great drive and gave him a more than deserved win. If you look at the bigger picture though, Maldonado is undeniably the worst F1 race winner in recent history.